The film begins by showing a scene in a banking company office in a city in Thailand. In the office, every employee must comply with an important rule that they are prohibited from dating or having relationships with fellow employees. Even a female employee named Jib is assigned to supervise and investigate if any employee is suspected of being in a relationship. Whenever Jib came across rumors indicating their employees were dating, she would interrogate every employee in the office to confirm the rumors. If the employees are proven to be in a relationship, one of them must resign from the company. That day, Jib found evidence of the closeness of a male employee with a female employee at a bar, so she immediately interrogated them. Although the couple initially tried to deny Jib's accusations, they could no longer argue after solid evidence was presented. Jib then asked the couple to immediately decide which of them would resign from the company because the rules had been set since the start of their work at the company. After the day's work, a male bank employee named Sua intended to go home and go straight to his car in the basement. But when Sua arrived at his car, it turned out that Jib had already come to the car and was waiting for him to talk about something. It turned out that all this time, Jib and Sua had been secretly in love and their relationship had been going on for more than a year. Jib deliberately approached Sua to ask about the seriousness of their relationship because she could no longer have a secret relationship and had to hide the facts about their relationship from her family. Jib, who had been responsible for arresting an illegal couple in their office, turned out to have a relationship with Sua, who is also an employee at the office. Jib gets frustrated and starts questioning whether Sua loves her or he is just toying with their relationship. Jib is afraid that Sua is actually deliberately hiding their relationship because the relationship they are in is an illicit relationship or infidelity. Sua then tries to convince Jib that he really takes their relationship seriously, and that he also loves her very much. Even to clarify his commitment to Jib, Sua immediately took her to the wedding planning office to register their wedding date. That night, Sua and Jib decided on their wedding date on October 31st and had already decided on important things such as the concept and venue of their wedding. The next day, when Sua and Jib meet in the elevator, they argue about who will resign from the office when they get married. Sua and Jib both insisted on staying in the office, sparking an argument between them. In the quarrel, the elevator door suddenly opened, and the head of the bank company came with his only son, Yo, who had just graduated from abroad. From that day on, Yo will be doing an internship at his father's company along with several other employees who are also interning that month. A few days later, the bank company where Jib worked began developing a new software system on their bank's ATM machines. But before deploying the new system across all ATM machines, the system will be tested at one of the ATM machines located in the city of Chonburi, near a football stadium and shopping mall. While the ATM technician was installing a new software program on the ATM machine, a soccer match between two Chonburi City Pride teams was taking place. While they were busy installing, one of the technicians seemed to have a hard time because the installation language of the software was in Japanese, and neither of them understood the language. Since they were in a hurry to watch a live football match, they decided to install the program randomly without finding out about their choice of programming. After installing the software program on the ATM machine, the two ATM technicians immediately rushed to the stadium to support their favorite soccer team. That evening, a teenage boy named Pude came to the test ATM to collect some money. At first, everything seemed normal and Pude managed to withdraw the amount he wanted at the ATM machine. But when he was counting money, the ATM machine suddenly rang and issued 2 times the amount of money before. Pude then tried to take out more money, and it turned out that the ATM actually issued double the amount of money before. Instead of reporting the incident to the bank, Pude, who was already excited, decided to tell about the ATM error to his best friend named Pete and said they could get free money from the ATM. Pete, who was watching the ball at the time, was surprised by the news that Pude conveyed, so he reflexively shouted loudly and made some of the football spectators at the venue aware of it. As a result, when the football match was about to take place, all the stadium spectator seats became empty, and the football players who entered the field could only stare at the incident. Most football spectators thought that all the ATMs in the city had an error, so they tried to withdraw cash from another ATM. While some people who happened to see the ATM software testing were scrambling to take money at the ATM. The following day, the bank company finally got a report from the local residents about their ATM error, and managed to activate the ATM as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, before the ATM was deactivated, several bank customers had already managed to get extra money for free, resulting in a loss of up to 130,000 baht for the company. When they were about to look at the CCTV footage, the camera footage had been damaged, and the ATM cash withdrawal record was also not recorded properly, so it was increasingly difficult for them to find the perpetrators of the ATM theft. The bank's leadership ordered Jib and other employees to investigate the case and find customers who had stolen ATM money. They have to be able to find all those customers within a week, or else they will never get the bonus money for 10 years. In the evening, as Jib and Sua eat separately at a restaurant, they begin to talk about their wedding plans and their resignation from the office. While discussing office matters, Jib suddenly had the idea of using the ATM error case as a competition between them. Whoever of the two manages to collect customer data from the ATM error case will be allowed to keep their job, while the loser will have to resign from their office. Sua accepts the challenge, and their adventure to solve the ATM error case begins. The next day, Sua went to the Chonburi City branch office to retrieve the list of bank customers who made withdrawals at the ATM on the day of the incident. After knowing many customers on the list, Sua seemed very annoyed that he couldn't interview all of them in 1 week. While venting his frustration, Sua accidentally dropped his car keys in the sewer hole, so he had to call a taxi driver to take him to a locksmith. Unbeknownst to Sua, the man who was the driver in the taxi he was traveling in was Pete, one of the customers who made illegal withdrawals of money at the trial ATM. On the way, Sua got a call from the bank office to provide a report on the development of the ATM error case. When Pete overheard the conversation, he panicked, fearing that Sua would catch him. Pete decides to leave Sua in the middle of the road by pretending that his car is breaking down and asks him to get out of the car to push it. When Sua got out of the car, Pete immediately stepped on the gas and left Sua behind alone. Because it was already very dark, Sua chose to stay in a warehouse in the two places and rest for one night. The following day when Sua woke up, he was surprised by a crocodile opening its mouth wide in front of him. Sua ran out of the warehouse and made a commotion that provoked the house's owner to come out. The man who owned the warehouse thought that Sua would steal his crocodile, so he shot straight at Sua's legs, and Sua was forced to run away from the house. On the other hand, Pete goes to meet his girlfriend named Gob at the football stadium to convey his longing in a very silly style. At the same time, Pete came to Pete to tell him that the bank employees were investigating the faulty ATM case and looking for people who had taken money for free from the ATM. Pete were secretly stalking Sua, who had just left the Chonburi bank branch. Just as Pete was about to clean the hole they used to peek through, Pete's index finger accidentally got stuck in the hole. And at the same time, Sua was about to cross the road toward the two of them. The panicked Pete tried to help pull Pete's hand, but because Sua was approaching, Pete decided to run away and gave Pete a knife. When Sua saw Pete who was about to slice his finger, Sua immediately called Pete and asked why he had deliberately left him in the middle of the road yesterday. After realizing that Sua still didn't know that he was the customer who stole the ATM money, Pete felt very relieved. But not long after, Pete came up to the two of them and said that he knew who the customer had stolen money from the ATM. Pete brought Sua to a coffin where Pete's brother was already lying lifeless. On the other hand, Jib is still trying to analyze the list of customers she got and found several names who made repeated withdrawals on the day of the incident. The next day, after Sua managed to get his car keys, he had to face the fact that his car had been confiscated by the police and detained for several days because he parked in a no parking spot. As a result of this incident, Sua then had the idea of pretending to be a fake police officer to get customer information faster. Sua then rented a police uniform and bought a toy gun so that his disguise could run smoothly. After that, he secretly stalked the head of the bank branch that Jib had worked with to find out all the information Jib had obtained. After following the branch head to a fax office, Sua asked where the fax address was sent so he could trace the location of the hotel where Jib was staying. After finding Jib, Sua invites Pete and Pete to follow Jib secretly and finds that she is visiting the house of one of the customers she suspects of being the perpetrator of the theft. It turned out that the customer was Gob's mother, who probably got information about the faulty ATM from Gob and Pete. But Gob's mother immediately kicked Jib out and closed the door after learning she was a bank employee investigating an ATM error case. After learning about the information, Sua continues stealing information from Jib and even stays in a hotel room opposite Jib's. The following day when Jib was about to leave for the customer's house, she was surprised by the condition of her car, which had no wheels at all. On the other hand, Sua has found Gob and her mother in a temple, although, in the end, Gob's mother managed to escape using Gob's bicycle. At the same time, Jib accidentally met Pete when he was about to board a bus, and he immediately prevented Jib from boarding his bus because he knew that Jib was a colleague of Sua's employees. When Jib was about to leave, Pete suddenly fainted for fear of seeing a frog suddenly jump on his head, so Jib was forced to take him to a nearby bank branch. When Pete wakes up, he panics again after seeing Jib and the head of the bank branch office in front of him. He then accidentally confesses about taking money from the ATM error. Jib eventually learns Pete is one of the customers who had taken money for free from a broken ATM a few days ago. The same thing was experienced by Sua. He accidentally discovered that Pete was a customer who took money from an error ATM after trapping him in Gob's seduction. Since Gob met Sua for the first time, Gob had indeed fallen in love with Sua, so she was willing to tell everything to Sua without thinking about the consequences of her actions. As a result, Sua and Jib managed to find out information about the list of customers who made withdrawals from an ATM machine that went wrong the other day based on the confessions of Pete and Pete. After Jib collected all existing customer data, the amount that had been withdrawn by all the customers was only 110,000 baht, so there are still 20,000 baht whose whereabouts are still unknown. After further research, Sua finally found out that one customer made a withdrawal with the amount of 20,000 baht at the time of the ATM error incident. And it turned out that the customer was a man who once kept a crocodile. Sua tried to warn Jib not to go to the customer's house alone because the customer had a wild crocodile and a firearm. However, Jib did not heed Sua's warning because she thought that Sua just wanted to keep her from getting data from the customer. The panicked Sua immediately rushed to the house of the man who owned the crocodile with Gob and her mother because it turned out that the man was Gob's father. When she got there, Jib was almost attacked by the crocodile and almost shot by Gob's father. Luckily, Sua managed to protect Jib and made Gob's father's bullet shot to miss. Unfortunately, the bullet instead strayed and hit Gob's father's favorite crocodile, so they had to immediately take the crocodile to a public hospital for surgery. But unfortunately, after a hard struggle and a long operation, Gob's father's favorite crocodile could not survive because it lost too much blood. After all that incident, Jib and Sua finally managed to get confessions from all customers who had taken money illegally from their bank ATMs that went wrong the other day. In exchange, Jib and Sua promised that they would not report their names to the bank and would not collect any money they had previously taken. The next day when Jib went to the office, it turned out that she had recorded all the confessions of the customers and intended to report them to the bank leadership. After placing the confession tape into the bank leadership room, Jib again remembered her promise to all customers and intended to retrieve the recording from the director's desk. Unfortunately, the bank director already knew the recording, so all customers who confessed to the recording were immediately contacted by the bank. After Sua found out about the billing from Pete, a guilty Sua decided to pay the customer's entire 130,000 baht bill using his wedding money. After Jib finds out that Sua has given up the remaining money from their marriage savings to pay the bills, she feels very angry and decides to end their relationship. A few days after Sua and Jib's relationship ended, Yo accidentally found evidence of a love affair between Sua and Jib, so he immediately reported it to the director. Jib, who felt guilty, chose to resign from the company so that Sua could continue working there. After Sua learns that Jib has been willing to resign from the company for his sake, he realizes that, in fact, Jib still loves him. On the day that was supposed to be the wedding day between him and Sua, Jib accidentally came to the Halloween event, which was held at the place that was supposed to be the location of her wedding with Sua. There, Sua meets Jib again and decides to propose to her for the second time. Jib, who still feels for Sua, finally accepts his proposal with pleasure. The film closes with a scene where Sua and Jib enjoy their time together that night by dancing together before they finally kiss each other. The movie ends.